Hello, hello. My name is Liz Ashley, and welcome to my channel. I think I have my hair right here. There we go. Please like and subscribe, turn on post notifications, membership, all the things. The CDC is having a takeover right now.
The tumult at the CDC visible outside its Atlanta headquarters today, following what some dubbed the Wednesday night massacre. Director Susan Menards fired after less than a month on the job. 4 other top leaders resigned in protest.
Yeah, so, okay, in Atlanta, a lot of CDC workers just walked out in protest, and a lot of other top officials resigned in protest because the CDC, like the head of the CDC was basically pushed out and by RFK because she did not align with his vaccine thoughts, because he's anti-vaxxer, and she did not align with that, and she pushed back on him, and so now she's ousted. And this is very dangerous. This is terrifying. This is not good. Okay. And this is what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these institutions that we say we want to hold up, they're now going to get torn down. And it's going to take a lot to fix this. These institutions, like the Department of Education, like the CDC, like they're things that have always run in the background, that have always kind of kept it together. In America, we don't really think about it because they're these experts, you know, this is where they're doing a lot of the stuff. And they help our society run well, right? And so we don't think a lot about these people. And that's a good thing, okay? We shouldn't have to sit here and think about them and make this all political. This should not be a political thing, right? Education, our health, all this shit should not be a political thing. This is dangerous. This is deadly. Like, this is serious. This is deadly. To have ideologues in these places of government is so bad and so deadly and so dangerous, and is going to be so harmful for everyone. And I'm honestly so terrified. But today, a lot of the CDC workers in Atlanta walked out in protest. Good for them. Thank you to them. That's amazing.
3 of them cheered by current and former CDC staff. Former Chief Medical Officer Dr. Deb Howry, Infectious Disease Leader Dr. Dan Jernigan, and Vaccine Chief Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis, telling us they're worried about the combustible mix of ideology and health. Is America's public health in danger?
America's public health is significantly in danger. And Dimitri, Dan, and I chose to leave together to send that bat signal.
They cited misinformation about vaccines they say played a role in the largest number of measles cases in 30 years. Changes to COVID vaccine recommendations pushed Dr. Daskalakis over the edge.
I learned about the change to the COVID vaccine schedule on Twitter.
The White House.
He learned about it on Twitter. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, that's because this is what's happening. People like Trump, people like RFK, all these Stephen Miller, all these people, they just decide they want to do something. They're all their own little kings. They just decide they want to do something. They declare it as whatever, and then they don't tell anybody else because this is authoritarian, because this is fascism. They don't want to tell anybody else because they're like, no, this is my ideology and we're going to do it this way. And if you're not going to go along with it, we are going to push you out. And so that's what they did to her.
Defending firing the CDC director, saying it's the president's prerogative.
She was not aligned with the president's mission to make America healthy again.
Well, see, and that's the thing. RFK cannot fire her. And so the whole story at first was, oh, RFK fired her. Okay, well, he's not allowed to fire her. And so now Caroline Leavitt has to come out and say, no, the president did fire her because she doesn't align. Okay. And again, if the Democrats did something like this, like Democrats did much less than this, and they said they were politicizing government, right?
While in Texas, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. arguing the agency made missteps during the pandemic.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of trouble at CDC, and it's going to require getting rid of some people over the long term. in order for us to change the institutional culture.
It is a culture, the former leaders say, created a gold standard of science. A culture they fear is changing, and not, they say, because of science.
This is terrifying.
There have been a number of findings that we use to help make policy decisions for vaccines and for treatments, and that all of those past findings were being called into question.
And tonight, an administration official says the White House will tap one of Kennedy's top deputies, Jim O'Neill, as acting CDC director.
Oh my God.
Tom?
We thank you for watching. And
Yeah,
remember,
and Jim O'Neill is like a Palantir guy. He's like a Peter Thiel guy, and I was watching Hassan earlier, and apparently he said that people are just walking around with organs that they don't use. So we should be able, you know how people go in and sell blood, which I also like. I don't know. I think there's a lot around that too. That's not good. I think John Oliver did a episode about that. But anyway, he wants people to literally be able to sell their organs. He wants people to be able to sell their organs. This is insanity and psychotic. And the fact that someone like that is in charge of the CDC is so concerning. So insanely concerning of how dystopian this shit can get. Good on them for protesting. I'm glad they're doing that. Next, we're going to listen to what Caroline had to say. Caroline KKK Levitt had to say about all this.
I will leave that to the president to make that decision in that announcement himself. Brian.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. Bouncing off the CDC, situation with CDC, I'm curious if administration officials are pushing back on the president's agenda, privately, publicly, however, should they fear to lose their jobs going forward?
Look, I think if you're doing your job well, and if you are executing on the vision and the promises that the president made to the public who elected him back to this office, then you should have no fear about your job. Just do your job. That's what.
Yeah, no. So basically, you have to do what we say. You have to do our agenda. You can't push back. And as long as you're a good little soldier, then you can keep your job.
This president wants to see. He wants to see people solving problems. He wants to see the people who have the privilege of serving the American taxpayer and the federal government abiding by the wishes of the American taxpayers who overwhelmingly reelected him in this cabinet.
It wasn't overwhelmingly. They keep saying that. It was not.
To make America great again, or in this case, make America healthy again.
Jesus Christ, this is not going to make anyone healthy, bro. This is so bad. This is so bad. And then RFK, like, I am very scared about the mental health field. I am so terrified, okay? Because I happen to be someone who suffers from mental health and has to get mental health prescriptions. Okay. I have anxiety and ADHD. They're calling into question gender affirming care drugs as this. They're putting them into question because saying they're all these trans shooters. That's not true. There's not all these trans shooters. There's maybe like 3 out of all the other cis straight males, white males that have done them in majority. He was calling into question antidepressants, saying that all these school shooters are on antidepressants and then that makes people violent. He's also called into question what was it? I forgot. But yeah, so he's calling these things into question. And that is terrifying, to call into question antidepressants and say that somehow we are a more violent nation because people are on antidepressants is honestly just, it's just not true at all. Antidepressants help people, okay? And to think that somehow would make our society healthier is really crazy to me. I don't understand how you think that. That was the other thing I was going to say. Laura Ingraham earlier was talking about how, alcohol can make people so violent, but weed is like a different kind of violence. Because if we start villainizing these things, I just I don't know where that's going to leave us, I don't know where that's going to leave us. And it's a very terrifying thing. People like RFK, they have this whole like eugenics outlook. Like if you have you don't really have mental health issues. And this is a problem I had with my family growing up. And that's why I just got diagnosed with ADHD like 2 years ago, and just started and even before that, I was diagnosed with like depression and anxiety, but it took a while for me to even get there. I think a lot of right wingers have this view that like mental health problems don't, it's funny because when school shootings happen, they never want to say it's about the guns and they want to say we have a mental health problem. But then if you're someone with mental health problems, you're always told to suck it up and it doesn't exist and you just need to stop being so upset. And so, what the hell? And I think mental health resources should be more available. They should be better accessible. Because I agree, we do have a mental health problem in this country. But do you know what Trump did? Trump has literally defunded a lot of mental health programs. So what are we saying? This is just, it's a eugenics argument. And I'm sorry, but I have ADHD and I can barely function on my medication. Okay? I don't know how I functioned up until now, to be very honest with you. It was stressful, I gotta say. And so it's I can barely function now. It's just, God, it's just so terrifying to me. They just seem gun-ho on villainizing mental health and mental health resources. Okay, so now let's look at the new CDC guy who is who is connected to the literal villain, who's connected to literally the villain of our lives, Peter Thiel.
Breaking news, just one day after the firing of CDC Director Susan Menarez, the Atlanta-based agency now has a new leader. Jim O'Neill, a top deputy to Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., will reportedly serve as acting director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The White House has only said that ousted Director Menarez was not aligned with President Donald Trump's agenda.
That's not a good reason. That's not a good reason. That's not a good reason. You can't just say that they're not aligned and so now we're getting rid of them. This is authoritarian, this is fascist, and people need to wake the fuck up. Because I think a lot of people are sleepwalking through this. Military on our streets, getting rid of people who actually this is their career. This is what they know. This is what they specialize in, and we're getting rid of them. And it's called brain drain. And a lot of people were talking about this when he first got elected, but it's called brain drain when all of your specialists, when all these people who know things either leave the country or leave all these positions. And now all we have is ideologues in these positions, and that spells very bad things. Very bad things. And then the Fed is just going to be a whole nother layer on top of that, because he's trying to get rid of that one woman in the Fed. And if he does that, and if he gets control of the Fed, this could be like Turkey, because Erdogan did the same thing, and he started controlling their economics, and their inflation skyrocketed, and they still haven't fixed it. And so now we might have the same issue if he ends up doing that. So I don't know. Who knows? JD Vance might be our next president on Monday. Who knows, honestly? We'll see what happens, I guess. JD Vance is over here I'm ready to take position to be the president if something happens. That's a very ominous thing that he said today. And so who knows, man?